Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following message that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Good morning, African Confessions. Please keep me as anonymous. I had just finished high school and I was living with my grandmother who had put us through school by selling vegetables. My mother died. She died when I was only 3 years old. And as for my little brother, he was really young at that time. He was only a year old. The most painful thing is that I do not remember my mother's face, for she died when we were too young. As for our grandmother had tried to keep our mother's memories in our mind by having large portraits hung in our sleeping quarters. I have never met my biological father, for it was said that he had deserted us and went on to live with his workmate. It is said that the two had a steamy relationship and he went to live with her, leaving us with our maternal grandmother. Grandmother tried by all means to protect us from the evils of this world. We never went to bed hungry, and she taught us to be content with everything that we had. Although grandmother was such a good person to me, she had shown me what they call mother's love. I had vowed to myself that one day I would make grandmother to be proud. I finished high school without any hiccups at all, and I passed with such flying colors. Inasmuch as grandmother tried, she could not afford to send me to college to pursue my dreams. One day, as grandmother and I were busy shelling maize, we had a visitor. It was the daughter of one of our grandmother's friends. She lived in the city and had silky smooth skin like that of a newborn. Even the clothes that she wore on that day smelled like money, like new money that had just been withdrawn from the ATM. Wow, one day when I am all grown up, I want to be like her. I will emulate her style, simple yet sophisticated. She queried about what I wanted to do in life, and I told her that I intended to go to college, just that we did not have the financial muscle to do so. She and grandmother had a long chat. Grandmother was worried about my welfare, but Miss K, I'll call her Miss K, assured her that I will be fine and she would put me to college. I just had to help her with the domestic chores, as she was too busy to do so. Besides, grandmother and her mother knew each other very well, and nothing will befall me, she had said reassuringly to my grandmother, and my grandmother agreed. Finally, she agreed, but she was worried. The day when we went to the city, the previous night, I had hardly slept because I was too excited to sleep. Miss K came to fetch me from my grandmother's compound, and she said, "You have to bid your grandmother goodbye." So I said to my grandmother, "Goodbye, Granny. Goodbye, little brother. Life is going to change." Yes, I knew that life was going to change, and I had hope that life was going to change. Never was I going to forget about these two. I looked at them as we were driving off from the bus stop. I arrived at Miss K's house and I was shown to my bedroom. The domestic chores were too many to handle for me. I thought Miss K was a sweet person when she had visited my grandmother's house, but she had turned out to be so cruel. I hardly had time to sit, and I was on my feet the whole day, scrubbing the floors, curtains to mention but just a few. She did not want to see me sitting or even taking a break, as she would say and argue that domestic chores are never finished, neither are they done. Even if I'll think that I would have done everything that she had listed, that every day she would look for something that I should do, maybe scrubbing the gate and applying polish on it. Even the food rations that she gave me was the size of a 2-year-old, but all that I wanted was for my future to change. I soldiered on, as difficult as it was, for I knew what I wanted to do in life. All that I wanted to do was to go to college and to change my life. Miss K was not giving me my monthly salary, Brother Nashi. salary. She said that she was keeping it for me so that when I would go to college, I would have enough saved up. It made sense, though, to my young brain. 6 months elapsed and my heart yearned for grandmother and my brother, but Miss K assured me that she would take me to see them when the year will end. When I was not doing domestic chores, Miss K would pass me on to her friend who had a catering business. When I would ask her if I was going to be paid, she said that she had made arrangements with Miss K. I would spend the whole day washing, peeling the potatoes, as well as cooking big pots of pap, tripe, and cow's head. They were laborious tasks. The only consolation that I got from helping Miss K's friend was that at least I would get a decent meal. When I would finally go home and rest, my feet would hurt like they were being prickled by needles. Miss K was childless and her husband worked in the mines, far away from home. He would come after every 2 weeks to be with his friend. One day when Miss K had gone to the spa, Mr. K started making inappropriate advances towards me. He said, "Do you know that you are Miss K Jr.?" I then said, "I do not like what you are doing, sir, as I am here to raise my college fees. After studying, I want to return back home, so please stop this nonsense that you were doing." He then looked at me and he laughed. He laughed out loud. He then said, "Either you are naive or plain stupid. Do you not know the reason you are here?" When he said that, "Do you know the reason as to why you are here?" this left me with more questions than answers. What did he mean when he said that I was not here to raise money so that I can go to college? There was another reason. Was there something that I was there for that Miss K had not discussed? What was Miss K hiding from me? What was her purpose with me? I started to notice that when Mr. K was around, Miss K would conveniently plan a trip for herself or to go shopping the whole day. There was this other day when she said that she wanted to go and buy bread when I was busy making breakfast. I told them that there were a lot of bread that was going to be enough for us. She then said, no, I want fresh bread. Yet she was the one who had bought the same bread the previous night, and she would go for the whole day, leaving me and her husband alone in the house. Was she doing this purposely? One day when Miss K went to her unending trips, Mr. K had forced himself on me. He abused me. I tried fighting with him, but he overpowered me, deflowering me in the process. It's like Miss K had known what had happened when she had conveniently gone on her shopping trip. From that day, I was no longer allowed to go out of the house unaccompanied. Even going to help her friend who had that catering business, I was banned. She had told me that they had a fallout with her friend and she did not want her corrupting my brains. I later learned that Miss K had told her husband that she would find another woman for her who would act as a surrogate, and Mr. K would father a child with her, but the child would pose as theirs. Was not this illegal? Even though I had lived in the village, the topic about human rights and consent had been taught, and I had a rough idea that their plan was not permissible by law. It was illegal, Brother Nashi. A month passed and my period did not come. When for the first time I could not see my period, I was so scared. I thought that maybe I was sick. 3 months elapsed and Miss K started to be extremely nice to me. I had not told her what had transpired between me and her husband, for what if she had accused me of seducing her husband and thereby sending me back to the village without having anything? The city life was really nice. She even relieved me of some of my laborious chores and said that I had been a good help. I should rest as often as possible, and if I wanted something to eat that was not available, I should say, and she would get it for me. What was causing this sudden change in her? I asked myself one day. Mr. K never came to touch me, to rape me again. He pretended as if I was no longer visible. Months passed and I started to notice that my skirts were becoming tighter and tighter around my waist. It must be that I was eating well. I never thought that I had fallen pregnant because I was young, and I thought that maybe there was something that was going on with my body. I just said, I think that it is because of this all processed food that I am eating that is making me to be fat like this. The year ended and I told Miss K that I wanted to see my grandmother and my brother, for she had promised me that she would take me there. Miss K was not too eager anymore for me to see my grandmother. The next day, she bought a lot of groceries and told me that Mr. K will be the one that will be visiting our village. They went and they gave grandmother the groceries, and I had received a letter from my brother who told me that they were grateful. My little brother said, "Oh sister, oh dear sister, thank you so much for everything that you have bought for me, including the toys. I am really happy, but why didn't you come and see me, oh dear sister? But thank you and may God bless you." My stomach was getting bigger and rounder each and every day. It was then I realized that when Mr. K had abused me, I had conceived and I had a baby that was growing inside of me. What was I going to tell grandmother? What explanation would I give to Miss K? I was really scared, for I was hardly outdoors. It's like they were purposely keeping me indoors so that their little secret will not be exposed. That is why Miss K was not giving me my salary. She feared that maybe if I had any spare change in my pockets, I would run away. I figured neither was I allowed to go out and help your friend anymore, for she feared that I would expose her secrets to the world. I woke up one day in pain. I was in pain, and it turned out that I was in labor. Mr. and Miss K had planned everything to the T without my knowledge, of course. That is the reason why there was a lady who came in once a month to give me a health check, who was their personal nurse. She had been checking the progress of the baby that was growing inside of me. They even paid for me to give birth privately at home. This was done so that it would not raise eyebrows to the world. How devious they were. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy and nursed him till he was 6 months. Miss K told me that I had been accepted at a nearby college, so I had to wean him off mother's milk and bottle feed him so that he would not give me trouble when I would start school. But I did not remember applying for college. One day, as I was alone in the house, I came across my son's birth certificate. The gardener borrowed me his phone during the night at times. Initially, I had used it to research for my upcoming program in college, but curiosity had gotten the better of me. What baffled me the most was under the mother's name of the birth certificate, my name was not there. It was Miss K name that was there. It then dawned on me that I had been played by Mr. and Mrs. K. Everything made sense. Then at that moment, it explained why Miss K never asked who the father of the baby was. It made sense now why she was making excuses for me not to see my grandmother. Yes, it made sense now that I had been barred from helping a friend who had that catering business. It made so much sense. This was just trafficking that was happening. These people were evil, and I knew that I had to beat them at their own game. I just had to keep my cool and act normal whilst I was thinking of something. I started to visualize my escape plan. I knew that when Mr. and Mrs. K were done with me, they were going to dispose me like a used diaper. They would go to the extremes to protect their secret. A Chinese company was building a clinic close to where we lived. I went there to look for a job. This I did without the knowledge of Mr. and Mrs. K, for I was acting normally and had not shown any signs of stumbling across the birth certificate. The HR at the Chinese firm had shown me mercy and told me that I had to cook lunch for the workers only and go back home with my son. So it was about 2 hours work, and I was paid hourly every day, saving my money under the mattress, planning for my escape plan. But firstly, I had to gather some evidence to put away these evil this evil couple for life. I stole the birth certificate and I made a photocopy of that birth certificate and I placed that original at its original place where I had taken it. When I had gathered enough money, I packed my diaper bag and went to the victims friendly unit at the local police station and I narrated my story to them. The police acted swiftly, for the president had decreed to zero abuse towards women. Miss and Mrs. K were put into police custody and a trial date was put up and they were charged with various offenses like sexual abuse, child labor, falsifying documents, to mention but a few. They were given 15 years each in jail. I was happy that they were put in jail, but my heart yearned for grandmother. I had to see her. She would understand. I knew that from the bottom of my heart she was going to understand. I boarded a bus back to the village and I found no one home. She must have gone to the gardens, I said. I then placed my bag down and I followed the trail that led to the village gardens. I then met this other man who was our neighbor, and when he saw me, he cried so hard. I was confused about this behavior and we went to his compound where he explained that my grandmother had passed away about 3 months ago. He said that she was always talking about me, even on her deathbed. I was shattered at the news and I wept till my heart was bleeding. I even went to her final resting place and I said, I am so sorry, Gogo. I just wanted to live a better life and I wanted to better my life. That was all. I never meant for this to happen. I wanted to be with you till the end. I hope you will find it in your heart to forgive me. My queen had died and I was not there to give her back the love that she had shown me. I had my brother was now a drug addict and no one knew where he was. I cried so hard. The cries of an orphan never end. I would raise my son alone and pursue my dreams. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. Our dear sister said that I just want to give you a story of my life. Here, such a sad story.